Good morning. So I'm going to share about my experience doing the carnivore diet / animal-based diet. So before I share why I do that, I want to share a little bit background about me and my experience with diet in general. So I grew up vegetarian. I was vegetarian for about 17 years, and a few of those years I was vegan, and the years I wasn't vegan, I was very strict vegetarian. And about 4 years ago, I started to incorporate animal products into my diet again, and about 2 years ago is when I really was able to actually implement animal foods into my diet versus before, where I was just having like a bite or kind of trying things here and there. So I won't get into so much about my reasons for being vegetarian, but when I stopped being vegetarian, I realized how much emotion was tied into my diet and lifestyle choices, and how psychological they really were, and especially from having made that decision from such a young age. So I would love to share that another time. I won't get crazy into that. But basically, when I started eating meat again, it was super stressful and emotional, and 4 years later, it still is. So when I eat meat or animal products, a lot of thought and mindfulness goes into it. It's a challenge for me. It's something that it doesn't come naturally to me. I don't look forward to we're going to make steak or something like that. It's something that I choose to do and show up to do. So that being said, it's a challenge for me. So when my life gets stressful or my life gets crazy or overwhelming, I immediately resort back to my old tendencies and habits of being vegan and plant-based. And then I get caught in this hamster wheel of not being healthy and being stressed and using old habits to deal with that stress. So when I avoid eating meat or animal products, that's a very red flag sign for me. I know that I'm not really taking care of myself and that I'm stressed. So I came across Dr. Paul Saladino. If you're not familiar with him, he wrote the book, The Carnivore Code. You can connect with him on Instagram. His Instagram is the Carnivore MD, and he is a wealth of knowledge and resources in regards to the carnivore diet. And even if how you eat, it's just, I love to learn. So it's just information. And even if it's opposing beliefs for you, I love to experience other people's ideas, no matter how extreme they are. So back in April, he was running this challenge, a 30-day animal-based challenge. And I had been, at the time, really struggling to nourish myself with animal products. And I was I took a bunch of steps backwards and was really struggling to eat meat. And when I came across this challenge, I was like, this is perfect. It's with a group of people, an online community, and I can kind of go all in and kind of reset myself and create new groundwork for myself in regards to nutrition and health. So I joined the challenge. I got my boyfriend to do it with me. We were super excited. And so if you're unfamiliar with what that is, the animal-based diet or the carnivore diet, it's really you just mostly eat animal food. So there's different tiers to that. So there's you're a carnivore, you only eat meat and fish. And then there's tiers where you include dairy and animal products, and then there's less intense tiers where you include some non-toxic vegetable foods, things like lettuce and cucumber and squash and a bunch of stuff. It also includes honey and water, of course, and ideally no caffeine or alcohol. So me and my boyfriend did one of the lower tiers where we had salads and some vegetables, and we drank coffee still. And so the first couple of days were great. Again, we were really excited. It was really awesome. We were feeling great. And then after the fourth day or so, it started to become more challenging again. And by the 8th day, it was really not feeling it anymore. But we, had made a commitment. It's called a challenge for a reason. So we stuck with it. And we were eating steak, we were eating fish, we were drinking raw milk with collagen, protein, we were drinking bone broth, and we were making salads with romaine lettuce and cucumber and homemade dressing. So we weren't really supposed to use vegetable oils, but we used made dressings with avocado oils and coconut oils. And then we were doing fruit, which fruit isn't really typically a huge part of my diet, but we was doing bananas and oranges and like dates, stuff like that, and honey. So by the 9th day, 10th day, I was really struggling, and a lot of those emotional components of what comes up for me when I have to eat meat were like right in my face. And by the 11th day, I was not eating at all, really. Like, I was struggling to eat things that I actually have learned to enjoy, like eggs and cheese and milk, and those things were making me want to throw up. I was crying like over food. It was dramatic and emotional, and I was like really stressed out. But I didn't want to quit. I signed up to do the challenge, and I wanted to finish it because I wanted to know what my life looked like on the other side of that, of 30 days of being animal-based. But I had to really sit down and think of like what I was doing, why was I crying, and why was I so stressed. And I had to ask myself like why I was doing what I was doing, because the reason that I wanted to do the challenge is because I wanted to include more animal products in my diet. But now on the 11th day, I was not only not including the animal products, but I wasn't able to eat really at all because I was so distressed and like disgusted by everything that I was trying to eat. So I was creating the opposite result of what I had originally set out to do. My goal, I was doing the opposite of that. And I was also creating an aversion to the very thing that I was trying to incorporate more of. So I did a total overcorrection, right? I was stressed, not able to include the foods in my life. And I then decided that was the only thing I was going to include. And it totally backfired and created this whole like dramatic emotional event. So I had to make a decision, like, do I feed my ego and then like continue with this challenge because I don't want to quit? Or do I do something for myself and take a step back and look at the bigger picture? Because when I looked at the bigger picture, I realized that I wasn't completing the task that I had set out to do. So when I say it backfired, I took even more steps backwards than I had originally anticipated, because it was weeks. I didn't want to even look at a piece of meat for weeks. So the reason that I share this experience is, one, because we can get so caught up in like diets or nutrition fads or protocols or cutting edge information, and it can be easy to get wrapped up in that and like other people's experiences. So I'm watching this other doctor and reading his book and listening to his research and watching his videos, and then trying to transplant them onto me, but I'm a different person with a different experience, so maybe that person's extreme approach doesn't really work for me. So it doesn't mean that it can't or that it wouldn't someday, but in that moment, it didn't work for me. And then the other point that I brought this up that I wanted to share is about balance. So I mentioned that I did an overcorrection. I wasn't able to incorporate those foods into my life, and then that was all I incorporated. And what I should have done is just made more of an effort to incorporate those foods more amongst all the other things that I eat for a more balanced and integrated diet and nutrition profile. Looking back, I love my intention. I don't like regret the decision because it was actually a really powerful learning experience. And now I'm back to a place where I am not disgusted by those foods again. And then the third point that I wanted to share is remembering your why. Because like I said, it's so easy to get wrapped in somebody else's protocol, somebody else's body profile, and like what works for them. And if I couldn't remember my why I made the decision to embark on that nutrition journey, I would have continued to do it and continued to have been miserable. But because I was able to tap into my why, which is that I wanted to eat more meat, I realized that I wasn't accomplishing that, and I wasn't eating more meat. I was actually eating less and less in general, and creating more of a stressful relationship with the very thing I was trying to heal my relationship with. So that is why I wanted to share that. Remember to be balanced, and remember your why, and remember that things that work for other people don't always work for you, and that's okay. And everybody has a different body and a different human experience. So thanks so much for being here. And if anyone has any questions, I would love to chat with you, and I hope you have a great day. And I've never done this Instagram live before, so I'm thrilled for you to be here. So thank you so much.